So why is it so hard to come up with a good startup idea? Everybody's making the same photo-enhancing, AI-enabled, travel planning, cost-sharing event apps. Why is that? Today we're diving into why finding a unique and successful startup idea is so challenging. I've spent over 20 years up to my ears in startups, and along the way I've come to understand what makes a billion-dollar idea so hard to find. We're going to break this down into three main parts: understanding the problem, exploring unique experiences, and applying contrarian thinking. Most of us struggle with coming up with one idea that can change the world and truly disrupt the market. I'm going to share some stories from entrepreneurs who turned their unusual experiences into billion-dollar companies. If you skip this video, you might miss the exact steps that could drive your startup to financial success, leaving you stuck in a cycle of trial and error. I once heard Steve Jobs say that innovation comes from connecting different experiences together. If you have the same experience as everybody else, you will make the same connections and you won't be innovative. Jobs went on to explain that being able to zoom out and see the whole picture allows you to make connections that others can't. This means embracing diverse and unique experiences. Our ability to zoom out is directly correlated to our own experiences. For example, if I had only lived in a small town in Ohio for my whole life, the furthest I can zoom out is limited to that town. So two guys named Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia were struggling to pay rent for their San Francisco apartment. They saw a design conference was coming to town and that hotels were fully booked. So they decided to rent out air mattresses in their living room to attendees. Something super important to note here: this was based on their own experience. They zoomed into something that they were struggling with and that they understood very well. But they also didn't over-innovate here, right? They didn't create some sort of a roadside box that you can lock yourself into to sleep. They rented out their couch. They rented out air mattresses on the floor. They took a slightly different turn on an existing model. They improved availability of housing and beds without completely rethinking the hotel model. And this is super important. We don't want to over-innovate because that makes adoption more difficult. And how cool is that? By simply adding more inventory to the market, they didn't have to rethink how hotels work. It wasn't like, oh, we should have people do something different than pay for beds. No, people were still paying for beds. They were just doing it in a slightly different way and tapping into a bunch of inventory that was otherwise inaccessible to a market that had more demand than supply. Let's take a look at another example. Whitney Wolfe Herd's experience with online dating and her vision of a platform where women make the first move led her to create Bumble. She wanted to create a dating app that empowered women and offered a safer, more respectful online dating environment. As she said, "I was tired of a system where women waited around for men to send them a message or ask them out. With Bumble, women had to make the first move or the match was void." So let's examine the reasoning here. One of my favorite parts about Whitney's story, apart from the fact that she's a Startups.com alumni, is that it was this thinking that allowed her to go into a market that was absolutely flooded. There were thousands of dating apps at the time she launched Bumble. And yet, because she took a different approach and said, I'm going to go against the grain of what everyone else is doing, this is exactly what led to her success. Great startup ideas often come from contrarian thinking like Whitney's, going against the grain and not following the crowd. As Peter Thiel once said, infinite competition is for losers. You need to find and solve problems that others overlook in ways they wouldn't consider. Not didn't consider, wouldn't consider, because their own experiences don't allow them to zoom out to see what you can see. Now let's look at Jack Conte, co-founder of Patreon. He saw that the monetization methods for creators were broken, completely broken. From his experience as a musician and a content creator, he created Patreon, which is now valued at over $1.2 billion. How about Daniel Ek? He created Spotify to combat music piracy and provide a better user experience than illegal downloads. At a time when the music industry was fighting piracy with lawsuits, Ek took a contrarian approach by developing a streaming service that offered instant access to a vast library of music, legally and conveniently, ultimately changing how we all consume music. Once upon a time, I took some advice from Paul Graham, where he advised working hard on problems driven by curiosity and being mindful of gaps and anomalies in my observations. It was basically this same approach that led Bill Gates and Paul Allen to create Microsoft after discovering the potential of Altair Basic. So look, we've explored why it's challenging to come up with unique startup ideas and how leveraging unique experiences and contrarian thinking can lead to billion-dollar businesses. So while there might not be a formula for finding billion-dollar ideas, there are definitely at least a few key ingredients. One, we have to start with our own experiences. We can't try to draw on things that we see at a distance in the world. We have to have some firsthand experience with the problems that we want to solve. Two, we have to find problems that people actually care about and want solved. So very frequently we see startup companies fail because they build a solution and then run around looking for the problem that it solves. We don't want to be in that case. So if we can start with our own experiences and then look for how those connect to problems that people really have and care about solving, and then take a slightly contrarian view that allows us to see solutions to the problem that aren't the norm, that aren't the status quo, that aren't what everybody else is already doing, we may not have $1 billion idea, but we at least have the start. Remember, the goal is to find a problem that needs solving and to approach it from a unique perspective, one that's uniquely your own. Don't fall into the trap of the copycat, just doing what everyone else is doing. Embrace your unique experiences, think differently, and look for those hidden opportunities. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and hit that bell icon to get notified of future videos. Also, check out the links in the description for more resources on finding and developing great startup ideas. The world needs more innovative startups, not more of the same old ideas. Be mindful, be innovative, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.